Hey up, it's Steve from that old Yorkshire geek. I know I'm a little bit early, but you know, it's near enough, innit? It's near enough. I've got another camera on and I've got some things playing on my TV, so let's have a look and see if it shows up. You know, kill a bit of time before 9 o'clock. Let's have a look, see what it does. If I switch my camera over, as you can see on the TV, you can't really see it from my microphone, but I've got some horror movie clips playing and they might upset YouTube. Luckily, I'm blocking enough of it. I thought it just might, make an interesting backdrop. There you go. Or not, as the case may be. There's the Amityville house blowing up. But I might cut to that at various times in this stream. So we'll go back to the proper one. Right, I'm back. Right, so 2 minutes to go, and then we're off with The Howling. Film I do love. I do love the first one, The others, they're not so good, are they, to be honest? But the first one is a classic. And as I said in the write-up down there, in the description, I actually like The Howling better than An American Werewolf in London. What can I say? I mean, I love American Werewolf in London. I love them both, but I think The Howling edges it for me. I think the transformation effects are better. I know Rick Baker was supposed to do The Howling, but he went on to do American Werewolf in London and handed over to one of his proteges, Rob Bottin, who did amazing work. And personally, I think Rob Bottin is a better special makeup effects artist than Rick Baker. Rick Baker went on to win Oscars and stuff, didn't he? But anyway, right, we're nearly at 9 o'clock, so I'll get ready for my intro any minute now. Wait for the howling hour to begin. Oh, what am I on about? I don't know. I just don't know. Come on, clock, get round to 9 o'clock. Tell you, a watch pot never boils. That's the saying, isn't it? There we go. Right, let's have an intro. Are you ready? Let's hit some howling. Right, there's the intro. A few films in there I'm going to have to do. There's a Dracula in there, isn't there? And there's the lovely Valerie Leon in Blood from the Mummy's Tomb. I'm going to have to do that at one point. And the last one is from Insidious. I'm going to have to do that at some point. But tonight, we're doing The Howling. Obviously, I'm not going to play the film, because of copyright and all that. But we're going to go through it and I'm going to explain why I love this film so much. So let's get it up, shall we? There it is. There's the old studio canal. They've got the, home video rights. But it soon goes to the good old, come on when it's ready. There we go. The Avco Embassy. You knew you were going to see like a decent horror film back in the 80s. If it had an Avco Embassy logo. There we go. Excellent. And then the film comes on. And then we have a slightly reminiscent, this intro of Thing from Another World. It's Joe Dante who directed this. So he's a big film buff. So he's probably a fan of Thing from Another World. So that's what this intro was like. And it goes, it's the howling, and then it goes. There we go. So a cool opening. And then we start with the opening titles. It's over like a TV screen that's not tuned in properly. We see obviously the stars. We've got Patrick Macnee. Obviously, Dee Wallace is the star. We've got Robert Picardo a young Robert Picardo before he became more famous as the Doctor in Star Trek Voyager, and other things. He's been all over. Christopher Stone, who would go on to marry Dee Wallace. They met on this film, I do believe. Or was it Cool Joe? I can't remember. Which came. No, this came first, didn't it? This was before Cool Joe, wasn't it? They got married, and she became D. Wallace Stone after that. And then I think he died quite young, I must admit. So that's quite sad. Anyway, over this intro, we're hearing little phrases, little snippets from the rest of the film. So it's interesting to try and work out which parts of the film you're listening to. I mean, you hear Marsha saying she's ours now and stuff like that, which is one later on in the film. There we go. Based on the novel by Gary Brandner. I've read the book. I've read the first 3 Howling books, and I love them. I think they're brilliant books. I haven't read them for a long time, but when I did read them, I loved them. But this film is nothing, nothing like the book. It's just the Howling by name only. It says based on the novel. It isn't. It's not even remotely like. Apart from it's got werewolves in, and a colony of werewolves. That's the only similarity it's got to the Howling. The book. What happens is she's called Karen White in this. I don't think she's called that in the book. I can't actually remember. But she gets, the R word. I can't even say it on YouTube, can I? Because I'll get into trouble. She gets draped in the book. So she gets. They decide to move away to the country and end up in a town, a small town, unincorporated, whatever that means. A town called Drago. It's in I think it's in California. And it turns out that everybody in that town is a werewolf, and they burn the town down at the end. So that's another similarity. Spoilers for what happens in this film. But in the first book, it's fire that kills them. In the second book, the Gary Brandner uses silver to kill the werewolves, and in the third book, he uses other spoilers, by the way, for the books. He uses other werewolves to kill the werewolves. That's the 3 ways you can kill a werewolf: fire, silver, or another werewolf can kill a werewolf. Yes. Anyway, so that's enough of me waffling. Let's carry on. Right. So we start off with we've got Patrick Macnee, who plays Dr. I think it's George Wagner. I better check. I've got the Dr. George Wagner. And he's doing an interview on a TV news show. What's happening is the main, I think she's the news anchor, Karen White, D. Wallace. She's out and she's basically using herself as bait to try and capture a serial killer called Eddie the Mangler, who we'll later find out is called Eddie Quist, and he's a werewolf as well, played by Robert Picardo, with great relish. Anyway, she's walking down this. There we go. She's walking down this alley. And this fella says, "How much for a half and half?" Whatever that means, I have no idea. And she says, "Excuse me," and he says, "You're that TV lady." I used to think, is he somebody famous? I don't know who he is. I don't think he's in any of the IMDb things. I don't know. Shall we have a look? Let's have a look. Since we're live, what the heck? Let's have a look on IMDb and see if he's listed. I'm sure I've looked before and not found him. But I thought it must be somebody famous because Joe Dante puts like the odd famous person in. We see Roger Corman in this very shortly. But let's have a look on IMDb and see if it says this chap. It's probably a nobody now I've said that, but I used to imagine that he were a famous person doing a cameo. Right, let's have a look. One says Man on Street. I don't know. No, it's not listing anybody. There's a hooker. Yeah, we see her in a bit. Drunk man at bar. Roger Corman, man in phone booth. No, don't list him unless he's man on street. But that's a name I've no idea who it is. So I just thought I'd check. Right. Anyways, where were we? Right. So she finds the phone box. Oh, that's Christopher Stone as Bill Neal. She uses her maiden name. That's Dennis. Oh, you can't see him for my fat head. Behind my head, there's Dennis Dugan as Halloran. Is it Chris Halloran? Yes, Chris Halloran. Oh, I'm doing well with these names because I've seen this film a billion times. And they're looking at some footage of Eddie the Mangler's handiwork there, dead bodies up and down. Right, she finds the phone box. It's got it might show it here. I don't know. Maybe is it going to show it? No, it isn't. It's got a smiley face sticker on. That's how she knows it's the right phone box, because that's his calling card, a smiley face sticker. So she's waiting for the phone to ring. Then a man comes and stands outside the phone box, and that's Roger Corman, famed producer and director. Gave a lot of directors there and stars there their start in Hollywood. These are two cops, played by one of them's a famous fella, and I forgot his name. Kenneth Tobey, who were in quite a few 50s B movies, science fiction and 50s B movies. And the young cop is Steve Neville, who I don't know, but Kenneth Tobey. If you're a film fan, he were in a lot of 50s B movies. But we can't see him there. They're going to focus on him in a moment. But they're all saying, I wonder where they're all coming from and I wonder where they're going. He says, I don't know where they come from, but they got to where they're going. But they're on the lookout for Karen. They've had a description of her, so they know what she looks like. We cut to, I think it's Lou Landers. Is it Lou Landers? Played by, I forgot his name as well now. Oh, we're doing so well, wasn't I? Jim McCrell, that's it. Jim McCrell playing Lou Landers, and he plays the same character, I think, in Gremlins a few years later, another Joe Dante film. But he's here doing his practicing his script for the news. He's another news reader, and he's like, tonight, in an act of courage, we here at KDHB are all very proud of. And then Bill walks in and interrupts him. Then he goes, hi, Bill. That's a brave little old girl you got there. So that's his real voice. That's a funny thing. By the way, The Howling is often noted as a comedy, not a horror film. Don't know where they get that from. It's got some funny lines in it, but what horror film doesn't? So it's more of a horror film than a comedy. But it's often, cited as a horror comedy, and he said Homer comedy, whatever. Right, so the monitoring the she's wired is Karen. She's got a radio on her, and but they lose the signal because of all the neon. It interferes with the signal. This is one of the cops there. Don't ask me his name, but he's introduced to Bill Neal, and apparently he was a famous football player. Knockdown Neal, they called him. But now he runs some like fitness stores and gyms and stuff like that. There's lovely Belinda Belasky as, I've forgotten the name. Oh, crikey. Terry Fisher, that's it, Terry, because we hear that later on. Terry, later. Shivers. Anyway, they lose the signal, so Bill isn't happy, because the fella says, I think we might have lost her. And he says, what do you mean they've lost her? And so he says, Chris says, they've got people in the area, they'll find her. So there he goes. So she goes into a porn shop, and she goes into the back where you can watch porn movies. I've got to be careful in there now where to pause it, because they start watching a porn film, a cheeky movie. So I've got to be careful where to pause it here, or YouTube will have a conniption fit. So anyway, there you go. She finds the smiley face sticker, so she knows that Eddie's in there. It says vacant there, so what if somebody else went in? They find themselves in the booth with Eddie. I suppose he'd just eat them, wouldn't he? Right, so She goes in and sits down. Then Eddie's hand appears here, you can't see, and puts some money in the slot. Now, I've got to be careful here now. Right, here's the two cops, Kenneth Toby. They're talking to this hooker, a lady of the night. They're asking if they've seen her. And she went, yes, she was here just a couple of minutes ago. So they're heading that direction. Back at the studio, the legendary Kevin McCarthy, who you may know from the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He plays the boss of the studio, and he's not a very nice fella. He's not a very nice fella. He tries to be, but it always comes off wrong. He goes, waiting's tough. And I see, I paused it on wrong bit. Oh, crikey, that was close. That was close. So anyway, they're watching this film, and Eddie's behind her, and he's obviously a fan of Karen. He likes her, and I think he wants to turn into a werewolf and bite her and turn her into a werewolf as well. I don't know if he actually wants to kill her. I don't know. Maybe he does. We don't find out. See, I've gone too far. And there he is. He starts changing there. Look, she sees it. Look, but she can't scream out because she's a voice. It's trapped in her throat. And actually, I know what that means because I've been in that situation, and it's true. When I was a kid, you might not believe this, but it's true. When I was a kid, I woke up in the middle of the night, and there were a figure in my room. I'm going to say it was a ghost. I'm getting chills telling this tale now. There were a figure stood behind my bedroom door, so like half in and half out, and it was like a robed figure. And I tried to call out, but I couldn't. I was like, anyway, I hid under my covers, and then I peeked out again, so like a minute or so later, and it was gone. So, but that was my first experience with the paranormal. I was only about 10. If that, I might not have even been 10, but I remember it now as if it was yesterday. So anyway, so she can't call out. She's like, and he's turned into a weary wolf. I'll just carry it. I'll play. The cops have arrived. They say, yeah, she's in the back watching movies. So I've gone too far again. See, I'll just play it. They hear a commotion in the back in a moment. So I've got to be careful pressing play because you're only allowed like 8 seconds or something like that. There we go. Eddie's attacking her and he's turning into a werewolf. I'm sure you can see his ears starting to grow, like pointy in this bit. It might be an optical illusion, I don't know. We'll see if I can. Let's have a look. That's my microphone that's fallen off. Not my microphone, my other camera. Stupid things. Stay there, you silly bloody thing. Is it ghosts? Ghosts are making my microphone fall. My camera fall down. It's this silly little that silly little. It's a Microsoft. That figures, doesn't it? Go on, stay on there. Do as you're told. Why won't you stay there? Why won't you stay on there? Come on, be good. What are you doing? I need to pull a bit of wire. Apologies for this. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. It's probably all over the place. I just had it right as well. See, it's going to fall again. Where were we? Right, they hear a commotion. And Karen's getting attacked. There she is. Eddie's attacking her. I'm sure his ears were growing. And the young cop goes in, guns blazing. Good job he didn't hit Karen, innit? But as you see, there we go. Karen's just got out. I don't know if she's I don't know if she's outside the booth there, or she's just on the floor in the booth. I don't know. But he's and we think Eddie's dead. So that's the end of Eddie the Mangler, as we later found out. It's called Eddie Quist. So in the newsroom, the cut. A camera crew gets out there quick, and there we go. Bill arrives, and Chris, and the comfort Karen, but she doesn't remember what's happened. She says, I can't remember. It's all a blank. There she is. She's saying, I can't remember. Looking very pretty. And then it cuts to sometime later. I don't know how long it's been. It's not long, but she starts having nightmares. And, waking up screaming, and there we go. Bill's there. And she says, I didn't see him. I tried to, but I didn't see him. So meanwhile, in this very distinctive house, I'm sure we've seen this in other films before. It'll be somewhere in Los Angeles, won't it? Terry and Chris Halloran, Terry Fisher and Chris Halloran, are found where Eddie Quist used to live. So they go and check that out. There we are. This is his house with his newspaper clippings and his artwork, because he was an artist as well as a murderer and werewolf. So there's a jump scare with a dog that appears. But they find a landscape, and they wonder if it's a real place, and it turns out it is. There's some more of his drawings. That must be Marcia. I'm guessing it is. Where are we? Oh, wait, there's the landscape. They've taken a photo of it. And so they take him to the doctor, Dr. George Wagner. And he says the killers are often, ruled by the left, or is it right? Whatever side of their brains, and it deals with the artistic and the other, not the logical and other side. So he says it's not uncommon for killers to draw as well as that. So there you go. So that's that. And they say, can they quote him on that? Because they're going to use it for a 1 hour special about the mind of Eddie Quist. Right, so we'll go back to the studio, and they're getting Karen. They're putting Karen back in the saddle as quick as they can. As I say, I don't know how long it's been, but it mustn't be. Oh, crikey, that made me jump. It mustn't be. Sorry, I've got my scary films playing here, my scary clips, and I just looked round. It made me jump. I saw a scary face. Where were we? All right, yeah. They're showing Karen. They're getting her back in the saddle. I don't know how long it's been. I'm guessing it's only been a few days. And they're getting her back to work as quick as they can. So they get her, anyway, they go live, and she freezes. And so they bundle her out there as quick as possible. And he says, can you get Tamahoshi, or whatever the hell her name is, to come in and cover the evening news? And then she's mentioned later that another character says that Karen was her second favourite after that Oriental girl. That's obviously who he's talking about here. By the way, the script was by John Sayles. As I said, it's full of little humorous remarks, but it's also a good horror film. Oh, there it is. That's where he's saying that. See if I can just play this little clip.
Listen, get in touch with that Fujimoto, or whatever the hell her name is, and get her ready for the 11 o'clock report.
See, not a nice chap, is he? And then he goes, now there's a professional, because they're playing an editorial. They've had to cut away because Karen had a little wig out. So she goes to see Dr. Wagner, who's, by the way, is a psychiatrist and psychologist and all that. That's why the scene. He's got a book out called The Gift. And it turns out it's not the only gift he knows about. So she goes to see him, and he says, she asks him if, am I crazy? And he goes, absolutely bananas. Jokingly, obviously. So he decides to send her up to the colony, which is his place up north there. Pretty vague. And it's like where they do group therapies and stuff like that. It's for mental patients, basically, as we will see. Some of them more mental than others. So they're going driving up there. And then she says, well, I just hope they aren't too weird. And then we cut to, see, I've gone too far. John Carradine. He's going to say, well, I hope they aren't too weird. Oh, there we go to John Carradine howling. So they've arrived and they're at like a cookout, a bonfire and stuff, and they're playing music and things. There's all the other people at the colony. There's this fella here, I can't remember his name. What's he called? Jerry, yeah, Jerry Warren. His wife's Donna Warren. Who befriends Karen. Anyway, he's doing the barbecuing, so he offers Bill some meat, but Bill says no. Basically, he's a vegetarian, so that's important for later. He tries to not eat meat, so that's a clue. So this is Charlie Barton. I think he provides the meat, the cows. He's got cows, so there's a local farmer, I suppose. This is I've just said a name, haven't I? Donna. This is Donna, Jerry's wife, and she's one of Dr. Wagner's assistants. She's I think she's probably a doctor herself, or she's training to follow in his footsteps. But he is John Carradine playing Earl. They call him Earl, and he's not happy. And he says, it's not right. And he says, "Damn teeth are sharp. Hell of a note." So that's another clue. Damn teeth are sharp. Because they've gone soft. Remember, all these spoilers. All these are werewolves. So, and the Dr. Wagner's keeping them there, and feeding. They're eating cows. Charlie Barton's cows. They're not hunting humans like they should do, and so that's why the teeth are sharp, because they're not savage killers anymore. Anyway, that's Marcia Quist, played by the lovely Elizabeth Brooks, who died very young. I think she had cancer. So a shame, but she takes her clothes off later in the film, so I've got to watch where I pause it for that answer. But I bet that scene was paused a lot when you rented this film from the video store back in the day. But there she's obviously taking a liking to Bill. And we find out she's a nymphomaniac. That's how they say it. She's a nymphomaniac. And Patrick Macnee says, no, it's just so unchanneled. And then she gives him a book back. She said, "Yeah, I want you to give this book back." He gave it to her brother's TC. We learn that they're called Quist. She's Marcia Quist. There's TC Quist and there's Eddie Quist. So they're all family. They're all, I think, the brothers and sisters. And she says, "You've done enough damage already," and casts a glaring eye at Karen. Don't know what she's got against Karen, but Karen's got Bill, and she's got her eyes on Bill, hasn't she? Anyway, Earl's having thoughts about something, and then he tries to throw himself on the fire, and he says, "I've got to burn." But they stop him, and they lead him away, and he says, the old man shouldn't drink. Gets him really loose. Right, so she's having more nightmares. She wakes up in the middle of the night, and she hears howling in the night, and she wakes Bill up, and she says, "I heard howling," and he says, "Well, it's the countryside. We'll hear all sorts of things. It's probably somebody's dog." And she says, "It didn't sound like any dog. Not like any dog I ever heard." And he says, "Honey, you were raised in LA. The wildest thing you heard was Wolfman Jack, who, if you're not American, was a famous DJ. The only reason I know that is because he once was in Battlestar Galactica. Well, in the second season, Galactica 8. He appeared in that. That was the first time I ever saw Wolfman Jack on TV. But that's by the by. Anyway, she can't sleep, so she sits up, and then she hears a noise outside, and she goes outside with a torch. She's being very brave. Obviously, she doesn't know there's werewolves. Anyway, she sees a piece of cloth or something here hanging from this bush. So she goes and grabs it, and then we see somebody in the bushes. There we go. Now I think this is TC, and I think he's changing back. maybe from being a werewolf, because he looks a bit strange. Let's see if I can press play as you zoom in. His skin, it doesn't look quite right, does it? At first I thought it could be Donna, who's like partially, wolfified, but it ain't. I think it's TC Quist. And as you can see, are they his werewolf ears there just sticking up? I don't know, maybe not. But and obviously there's no clothes. Look, he's bare-shouldered. So yes, he's been doing his wolfy things. I don't know what that piece of cloth's for. I don't know. Anyway, so next day, Karen and Donna are playing a bit of tennis, and then Slim Pickens arrives as, I can't remember his name. Where's Slim Pickens gone? Where are you? The legendary Slim Pickens. I've gone too far, haven't I? Where are we? Sam Newfeld, Sheriff Sam Newfeld. So they tell him about what Karen heard. She heard some, howling. And he says, well, it could be coyotes. They'll sometimes come into a compound like this to go through the trash, and they'll leave it at that. So back in LA, Chris and Terry, they go to the morgue, and this is John Sayles. He wrote the screenplay, so he's got a cameo in it. Plays the morgue attendant. They're asking him about Eddie Quist, and they say, does this stuff bother you? Or they're showing a burger next to some brains. He says, no, it don't bother me. I suppose you get used to it, don't you? I suppose. Tell him just glancing at me. So we cut to the other camera, shall we? See what's going on at this moment. There you go. Well, we've got some zombies, and bits of things from the thing. It's just loads of clips, fast clips from horror films, of just random. Anyway, where were we? Right. So they're asking him. He tells a little story about the only thing that bothered him when he started there was one night he went in at the shift change, said goodnight to the fella before, Stu or whatever they called him. Then went on about his work, and then they got a drop off from the harbour, Oceanside unit or whatever. Unzips the bag. There's old Stu looking up at me, blinking seawater out of his ears. That's the only thing that's bothered him. Anyway, so they're taking them to Eddie's freezer where he is. So it says, visitors Eddie. They open it up. There's nobody in there. And then there's all... hang on, let's have a look. He's not in there. They said, well, he didn't get up and walk out by himself. And then they look at look at all them claw marks or whatever on the inside of the door. So they think somebody's stolen Eddie's body. So, but then we cut back to the colony. There's Donna and Karen, and they just sat out in having a nice evening, sitting out. And then they hear some cows in the distance. Charlie says Charlie Barton's got a few acres of pasture, and let's cut back to the other camera now. You've seen enough of that nonsense. Right. Charlie Barton's got a few acres of pasture where he keeps some of his cows, and they sound in distress. Do the cows? They're like going, they're not mooing, they're screaming more or less. And then she says, Jerry's got a gun, hasn't he? And Donna goes, what? That's on this bit. If you watch this bit, some of the noises and things that Donna is doing, I think she's itching to turn into a werewolf and go and eat some cow, because she seems a bit peculiar, as though she's like stopping herself. That's what it looks like to me. That's how I interpret what's going on in this scene. But anyway, she gets Jerry's gun, and they go. There we are. They go through the misty mist. There we go, brandishing a rifle, and then they find a dead cow. There we go. Oh, the torch goes out, by the way, as well. And then we have another another scare. A hand appears. Oh no, the hand appears on her shoulder. She goes, ah! Waving the gun about, and it's Sam, and I think that's Charlie Barton, isn't it? And they said there's another one torn up just like it over there. But you think if they know there's werewolves eating these cows, are they just playing just because she's not a werewolf? Because if they're all werewolves, they'd just say, yeah, it was whoever. So obviously, maybe they don't know. But you think if the plan is to turn her into a werewolf, which they say is the plan later on, they'd just get on with it, wouldn't they? Pardon me. But anyway, whatever. And he says, yeah, well, Dan certainly weren't no coyote. So they arrange a hunting party. Don't know why, but they do. So they give Bill a gun. And for a vegetarian, he likes killing things. Earl says he thinks it's UFOs, them cattle mutilations. So they say, you keep watching the skies, Earl. So he sets off, he gives Karen a kiss. Got to catch up with the boys. Have you seen the boys? So she laughs. And off they go into the woods, looking for, I think they're looking for wolves. Obviously, they still don't know there's werewolves. Karen's in one of her therapy sessions. I don't know who these are. But she still can't remember. She's trying to remember. She says, let's go back again. She says, she turns around. They're telling, Donna's there saying, turn around, Karen, what do you see? And she turns around, but she can't see him. She can just see a silhouette of Eddie with his ears. But she can't remember. She says, I can't remember. And say, oh, it's okay, fair enough. And then Bill kills a rabbit. Got it, first shot. Oh, yeah, very vegetarian of you. So we cut back to LA, and Chris and Terry are in The Other Side, a bookshop, occult objects for special people. We buy books. And it's a shop owned by Joe Dante stalwart, Dick Miller. There he is, the great Dick Miller. So they're looking for books about body snatchers and stuff like that, because they think somebody stole Eddie's body. So he goes looking, he says, if there's a book about it, I've got it. So he finds that. Terry's reading a book called Warlocks, Werewolves and Demons, and apparently that's a good book. There's some great pictures in it. And we've got what they call him? This fella behind. See if I can just. He's looking at some tarot cards. Just if I can get this right. What they call it? Here he is. Look. He says, if you're gonna touch them, buy them. You'll get them greasy. And what's his name? I forgot his name. He did Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine. See if it tells us. See if it tells us on IMDb. Because his name. That's it. Forrest J. Ackerman. That's it. That's Forrest J. Ackerman there, who did the Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine. I don't actually know if that were available over here in the UK. I don't know, but it's a famous publication, which I've never read. But he's famous as well. So Chris asks him, do you make money or whatever? And he says, oh, do you believe all this stuff? That's like Chris says, do you believe all this stuff? And he says, what, am I an idiot? I'm making a book here. I've got black candles, chicken's blood, chicken embryos, whatever. I don't know what he says. And then he shows him a box. And it's got... see in a minute. See, I've gone too far, look. Oh, I tell him about werewolves, by the way. Yeah? It says, if you don't kill them right, just get up. You can shoot them or whatever, and they look dead, but 3 days later, bam, they're as good as new. It says, only things that kill them is silver or fire. It says, worse than cockroaches. So anyway, they buy these 2 books. There we are. Oh, you can't see it because of my fat head. I'll get rid of myself just a minute. There you go. silver bullets, 3006 or whatever the hell he says, 3009, I don't know. Some joker ordered them, never picked them up. So they're for sale. Silver bullets. Chekhov's silver bullets, remember. Right, where am I? I'm back. Right. So they buy them 2 books and they head off home. Will we see them silver bullets again? I'm sure we will. Right, Bill. He's got his rabbit that he shot, remember? And TC says, you know, you kill something that you don't eat, that's a sin. So he says his sister, Marcia, she'll cook it up for him. He says, yeah, Marcia loves to cook. So he heads up to Marcia's shack. Oh, it's, by the way, he says, you know, he doesn't eat meat. And he says, well, your wife might like it, so whatever. So he goes there. She tries to seduce him. But he rebuffs her. So he heads on home, walking through the forest. And this is when Bill gets attacked. And we'll see in a moment. He is growling noises. I'll not be able to pause it at the right place because I'm useless. But we see a wolf. Somebody changing into a wolf. See, I've gone too far. Look, I'm bloody hopeless. We see somebody turning into a wolf. Anyway, but then it comes bursting up out from there. We go from behind there, and it goes and bites him. It bites him, and then scurries off into the woods. And so Bill's injured. He's been bitten by a werewolf, and he's lived. We all know what happens there because it tells us in this film. So they get the doc, and he gives Bill, I presume it's a tetanus injection, and he tells him, you know, Karen says she wants to go home, but you know, I won't travel. A bite like that can be pretty serious. So then we cut back to Chris and Terry, and they're looking at the books. See, this is I think that's a representation of that French lycanthrope. I can't remember his name. He went around like eating babies, didn't he, in France in the Middle Ages. And the phone rings, and it makes Terry. Here we go. We've seen the Wolfman here, with Lon Chaney Jr. and Claude Rains. Is it Claude Rains? Yeah, I think it is, isn't it? Talking about you know, how werewolves, how all legends have a basis in fact. Blah blah blah. Anyway, the phone rings, so he says, "Go answer the phone for us." So she does, and it's Karen. And she's telling her all about Bill being attacked, Bill being bitten by a wolf. And then just as she says that, Maria Ospenskaya, whatever the hell her name is, in the Wolfman says, "Whoever is bitten..." Hang on, I've paused it, and I've muted it, haven't I? So, go back a bit.
Is bitten by a werewolf and lives, becomes a werewolf himself.
Yeah, see? Plot point. So Terry heads out to the colony. Chris can't go because he's busy at work, so he says they'll catch up with her later. So Terry heads out, and she meets Karen, and oh look, that looks familiar, doesn't it? But we find out about that a bit later. Anyway, Terry's brought some munchies, so they're eating away, and then she realises she hasn't brought any veggies for Bill. But Bill's not bothered. He's eating meat. He says, "I get hungry enough, I'll eat anything." And he's like, eating it like that. So he's going to become a werewolf, isn't he? Anyway, so later on, is that he's sat in bed reading a book, and Karen comes in, and she wants to play cheeky games. So she's in the mood, but Bill's not. He blames them shots. But as we find out, he's in the mood, but just not with Karen. But anyway, so Karen has another dream, and I think this time she sees Bill. Let's have a look. She's having another nightmare. Oh, hang on, I keep forgetting to do that. There we go. She sees a little bit more of Eddie, and then she sees Bill. So that's the first time she's seen Bill in her dreams, which is a bit of a clue that not everything's right with Bill. Anyway, Bill's sodded off in the night. Oh, she wakens up then. She sees Bill's not next to her. So she goes, "Screw you then." And Bill's sodded off. He's walking out into woods, middle at night, with his dressing gown on, as you do. And he comes up to, that were close, finds a fire, and next to it is Marcia, and she undresses. Now, I've got to be careful here now, haven't I? I've got to be careful with me pausing, because the cheekiness coming. I have to be quick. Ooh, that were close. And they embrace. They both end up doing the deed. There we go. And as they're doing it, they both turn into werewolves. There we go. Bill starts turning. He's got his teeth out. He's giving it all and roaring as they are making love. And then she starts churning with amazing green eyes and sharp teeth and a lot of hair. There we go. And as the camera pans down from a very animated moon. I see I've gone too far. Don't pan down, it pans up because I'm an idiot. Hang on. There we go. As it sees them, they both change as they're doing it. And the howls. By the way, as they were roaring really loudly. As they were like mid change. And Terry got what they called it, a tape recorder out, started recording the noises she could hear. And you could hear other people. I think the doctor, he also heard it, and you get the impression that he knew it was a new werewolf, because an experienced werewolf probably wouldn't make all that noise. And that's another impression that I got. I don't know if it's real or not. So here she is. This is Terry. The next day, she's listening to her recording of the howling on the beach. And hang on, I think I've probably gone too far again. And she sees she notices. That's it. Oh no, she hasn't. It's not that bit yet. Bill comes in a bit sheepish. He's not sure what to do. He doesn't know. Pardon me. He doesn't know what to do. He realises he's changed. He's a werewolf now. How does he explain it to Karen? He doesn't know. Anyway, Terry hikes up the trail to the top of the cliffs, and she turns around and notices the landscape. And there we go. She gets out the photos of the landscape that Eddie. Remember, Eddie Quist made that. And it's obviously the same place. So Eddie is from there. Eddie Quist is from the colony. So she heads back into back towards the colony. And as she's going through the woods, we keep hearing her name being whispered. It's like, Terry. And it's all kind of spooky. But she's being stalked. Anyway, she ends up at a shack, and it's the Quist's shack. I think it's Eddie's shack. She ends up there. There, sees it in distance. I think we see a clawed hand here. You ready? There you go. Did you see it? I don't know. Never mind. There you go. So she finds this place. I think she's got a bit lost in woods, but she's ended up here. Maybe he's driven her that way. Maybe, I don't know. But she goes up and she keeps hearing a voice. Not a voice. Keeps hearing her name being whispered. Her voice on the wind. She knocks. There's nobody there. So she goes inside, and then she finds that it's Eddie Quist's house, or maybe he shared it with TC. I don't know. Oh, there we go. See some wolf legs. Look, cool. A wolf on a wolf picture. The wolf motif is popular. What's that? A bit of meat, ready to eat. But she sees the what do you call it? The smiley face sticker. So that's a big clue. A picture there. She says I think she says it's Karen, but it doesn't look a lot like Karen to me. So she goes in here, starts taking pictures, and then all the house starts shaking. Oh, there's a smiley face. Can you see it there? The house starts shaking. You hear all this growling and roaring. So obviously the werewolf's attacking. So she jumps out of a window, and she thinks she's safe, but then a werewolf hand bursts through the wood and grabs hold of her shoulder. And here we go. It's trying to get into her. It's quite a creepy scene. Is this? Looks trying to, but she's got an axe. So what happens there? She chops off the wolf's arm. Well, from about there, she chops it off, and the wolf howls and runs away. And then as Terry watches, the hand transforms back into a human hand, and it's a pretty amazing, animatronics. Like I said, Rob Bottin is really good at this sort of stuff. And now we're about 20, 21 when he did this, young fella. Oh, see, I missed it. So there we go. So she sees that. The wolf hand transform back into a human hand. It's really good. And yeah, so she runs. She heads back to the compound. She goes to the Dr. Wagner's office, but he's not there. So she picks up the phone and she phones Chris. And he says, look for clues in the doc's office, because she says, the painting of the landscape, it's here at the colony. And she found pictures in that cabin that were like in Eddie Quist's place. So while she's doing that, while she's talking to Chris on the phone, Karen she just woke up and she sees Bill, and he's got these big scratches on his back. He says, Jesus, how'd you get them scratches? And he says, they must be from the other night when I were attacked. But we'd seen Marcia make the scratches while they were making love. And she says, they weren't there the other night. And he says, oh, you're paranoid. And so they have a big row, and he gives her a clout. Slaps her. Here we go. There you go. There we go. And then immediately regrets it. He says sorry and stuff, but she says, no, I'm going to get my stuff and I'm going to get Terry to take her home. So she's heading to Terry's. But Terry's not there. She's in the office on the phone to Chris. Really scared. We're still going, by the way. I better check, I'd better check, because last time I did a live stream, it got taken down. No, we're still all right. We're still on. We're still on the air. Yay! Right, where were we? So she's talking to Chris, and he's saying, "Can you, if there's a filing cabinet, go look through it and see what the doc's got in his records." So she says, "Okay, then we'll go do that." And then as she's looking through, she says, "Quist Marcia, Quist TC." Then she sees one that says, "Oh, Quist Eddie," and then that happens. A werewolf's hand appears as she drops the phone. And there we go. A werewolf, an amazingly brilliant werewolf, is there. And it turns out this is Eddie Quist. This is. So knocks her about a bit, scares her, then grabs hold of her, picks her up. There we go, growls at her. Ooh. See, stuff making noises. Did you hear that? I'm alone. Well, my son's upstairs, but there's nobody down here with me. Behave! Oh, crikey. Don't do Friday night appointment with fear in a haunted house like I'm doing. But it's been quiet for a while. Until tonight. It's getting cold now. Something's going to happen. Right, where were we? Right, so there's a werewolf here. This is Eddie Quist, obviously growling at it. He's picked her up and he's breaking her ribs. You can hear them cracking as he's squeezing her, and she's like going, ah! And then he bites her. He bites her on her throat, and you hear the blood gurgling in his throat, and then she goes limp, and then the blood drips on one of George Wagner's drawings of like an evolutionary. I'm going to see it here. There we go. Yeah, like an evolutionary. Just missed it. Never mind. An evolutionary chart of shows a man and then somebody mid transition and then a werewolf, and the blood drips onto that. So anyway, Chris goes back to the Dick Miller's shop, picks up the silver bullets. Remember, we saw these earlier. Drops a load of money on the counter. Here we go. Look, picks them up, leaves a load of money. Dick Miller says, "I've got to check in with the jeweler for a charge." And he says, "Bill me." And then he says, "Crazy." And then uses the F word. So Karen, I don't know why she's come to the doctor's office. Maybe I presume she's looking for Terry. Maybe she thinks Terry's with the doctor. Maybe the doctor knows where Terry is. I don't know. But she ends up there. She thinks there's nobody there. Then she moves this screen out of the way. And she finds Terry's dead body, all gruesome and gory. And then she starts hearing howling and stuff in a minute. What happens? I can't. She falls down. She trips up. She hears noises. I think it's Terry's tape recording that she's hearing. She trips up and trips over Terry's body, who's now not on the gurney anymore. She's on the floor, which is a clue to what's going to happen in a moment. Just turns round, and it were Eddie under the sheet. So he'd obviously, there we go. She backs up, and then it's Eddie under the sheet. There he is. Gives her a shock. There he is. He's got a bullet hole in his head. Don't look well, but he's healing because he's a werewolf. He's getting better, but not for long. So here we see the best transformation that you can see of a werewolf. Never mind all this CG nonsense. This is proper physical effects. Great stuff. And I think it's better than American Werewolf in London, but we'll get there. Eddie says, "I'm going to give you a piece of my mind." And he reaches into his head and pulls out the bullet. There we go. The policeman's bullet. Obviously, it's not a silver bullet. Pulls that out, and then he starts changing. There we go. His eyes go white, or they've rolled back. I don't know, but it start doing all this on his head, as you'll see. There we go. A lot of sacks and stuff, air sacks that they're using. But as I say, that does this transformation. It takes quite a while. But obviously, Karen's too scared to run away. She's transfixed watching all this. There's his snout forming. There you go. It starts pushing out in a moment. It looks like he's smiling, doesn't it? But it's just his muscles and stuff are rearranging for the snout to push out. There it goes. It starts coming out. Look, and here we go. A bit more further on. His ears have grown out, and got a bit of snot coming out of his nose and a bit of slaver there. And here we go. The snout really comes out now. Look. There you go. Here it comes. And then all that. Oh, see, I've gone too far now. And then all that's done. By the way, Karen found a jar or something behind her. That turns out to be acid. I don't know what the doc's doing with an open jar of acid in his office, but that's what she finds. See, in his chains, look, he's a werewolf. She just throws it in his face, and he's like, and then so she runs away. So Chris arrives at a petrol station, and there's somebody there, and they say, "I'm in a hurry, it's an emergency." Karen goes out to the car, but she can't start it. And then Sam, I think it's Sam. No, it's not Sam. It's I think Charlie Barton and Jerry. I think they arrive and they take her. Pardon me. Yeah, it is. Take her to the community centre, where all the werewolves are. And they've taken Terry there. And the doc's there, and Karen runs to him, and he says, "No, I'm sorry, he's one of them." and so's Donna. You know, they're all werewolves. They're all werewolves. Just like in the book, they were all werewolves in the book. But they're trying to persuade her to become a werewolf. But I don't think she will. But the doctor wants her to, you know, to keep the secret. But the rest of them just want to kill her. So that's what they're going to do. That's their plan. So they're gonna, but they're not just gonna. They can't just kill her. They've got to make it look like an accident. They say so. They're gonna put her in a car and douse it in petrol and push it off the road so it blows up or whatever. And they all rebel against the doctor. Marcy gives him a big scratch on his face. And she says, you know, you're through, Doc. She's ours now, as we heard earlier on. But then Chris arrives in his Mazda. He's got his silver bullets, remember, and a rifle. Good job he had the proper caliber for them bullets. Oh, then TC arrives and he shows his stump to Karen. Says, look, see what your friend did to me. Because obviously he's healing up a bit. It'll take a while for him, I suppose, to grow back a hand. And the doc, this is where he gets scratched, and they knock him down with the butt of the rifle. They're gonna kill Karen. Chris is at the doctor's office. And he sees Eddie, and we see Eddie's all his face is all buggered up because of the acid. You know, he's looking for clues. There we go. I think we see Eddie here now. Eddie smashed the window. He smashed the window. There we go. And grabbed Chris's rifle with the silver bullets in. Obviously, Eddie doesn't know that the silver bullets in here. Look, his face is all burnt and melted and stuff because of the acid. And obviously, he doesn't know the silver bullets in there, so he gives the rifle back to Chris, and he says, you know, take your best shot. And I was listening to the recording he did of Terry being murdered, basically, of him killing Terry. And he says, you're crazy. He says, oh, I'm much more than that, blue boy. So he gives him his gun back, and then there you go. He says, you know, shoot me if you want. And then he starts changing. So we think we're going to see another transformation, but Chris has other ideas. So he's starting to change, look. So pulls the gun round and bang, shoots him, and then shoots him again just for good measure. So that's Eddie Quist dead. So he arrives at the community centre, is that what they called it? Whatever. TC's there, starts changing, and so Chris shoots him, as we will see. There we go, shoots him. He says, there's silver bullets in this. See, they all gather round, look. And silver bullets in this. And I think it's Jerry says, silver bullets my ass, get up TC. And then Chris shoots him as well. And then the doc says, they're real. So for some reason he pushes Karen out of the way. I think is the doc a werewolf? I don't know. Do you get the impression he's supposed to be? Or is he just protecting these werewolves? I don't know. But he gets shot anyway with a silver bullet and just says, thank God. So I presume he was a werewolf. So anyway, they force them all inside the community centre, and the barricade the door, locking them all inside, and then they set fire to it. Here we go, pouring petrol, and they set fire to it. There we go, up it goes. And the wolves are trying to get out, look. Anyway, they head out in the car. And there go, some wolves attack from the outside. So they're not all in there, there's some on the outside, and they shoot one, and so they head away. And they come across Sam, but he's a werewolf as well, look, and he starts shooting at them. So Chris shoots him. The cars, got all the windows smashed and the tyres bust. So they have to take the police car, but they can't start it. Look, and werewolves start arriving. A cool scene. There you go. All the werewolves surrounding the police car. And then one gets inside the police car and bites Karen on the shoulder, as we shall see in a moment. Cool werewolves, better than American Werewolf in London. Sorry, just is. Just is. Anyway, yeah, one gets and bites her on the shoulder and she shoots it. And we look round in a minute. We look round and it's Bill. We might have actually seen it. Have we? Are we going to look round to see who it is? So she knows she's going to turn into a werewolf because she's been bitten by a werewolf and lived. Are we going to see it's Bill? Oh, here we go. There. Hey, oh, whatever. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one that bites her. Look, there you go, biting her, and so she shoots it. Bang. And then we look and we see it's Bill. Turns back into Bill pretty quick, I must admit. Come on, show us it's Bill. Oh, for crying out loud. There we go. So we see it's Bill because he's got his tattoo there. I don't know if it actually... Well, yeah, it showed it earlier on, but why don't they just show his face? Maybe he got shot at face. I don't know. They didn't want it to be too gruesome. I don't know. Right, so anyway, see, I've gone too far again. There we go. So they roar away in the police car, and then we see some stop-motion werewolves. Because Joe Dante likes having a bit of stop-motion in all of his films. Or he used to. Back in the old days, before they had CG, he used to have like a bit of stop-motion in all his films. Right, so they head back to the... I don't know what they're saying about Terry and all this stuff. You know, where's Terry? You presume people are asking about that. You know, she's dead. But it must be the same night or the next day or whatever, because on the news it says the fires are still burning at the colony, at George Wagner's colony. So it must be later that night or the next day or whatever. And Chris says you don't have to go through with this if you you know. Oh, he says I'm not sure I can go through with this, and she says you have to. So she's going back to work, and but then she goes off script and starts reading her own script and telling them all about the werewolves. And Kevin McCarthy thinks, oh, for crying out loud. He says, cut to commercial, and Chris says, leave it. So they do. And then she starts turning into a werewolf. A rubbish werewolf, but a werewolf nonetheless. There we go. And we see, oh my goodness, and God, jeez. And so Chris goes in with his rifle, his silver bullets. And all the people watching are going, oi, crime bay. And see, I've gone too far again. There we go. She's turned into a werewolf. She looks like a Scotty dog, doesn't she, more than a werewolf? But that's Karen. And then Chris shoots her. In a minute. We actually got another cameo. It's not really a cameo. It's like an early appearance. Let's go back, see if we can catch it. I said catch it. Of I think it's Leah Thompson. I'll just double check before I make a fool of myself. I'm sure it's a young Leah Thompson. Is it going to tell us? Is it? You'd think it'd be there, even if it's uncredited. No, it isn't. But I thought it was. By the way, Mick Garris is in this as well, another famous horror director. Man with TV Guide. I've no idea. I've no idea. Oh, no, it's not. Don't say on this. Anyway, we'll go back to it. Going to cut to a couple of kids watching the news. We'll get to it in a minute. There we go. She's mid-transition there, look. And little tear, look. Oh, I'm turning into a werewolf. Oh, that's Mick Garris, Man with TV Guide. Don't know who she is. There we go. I think, I might be wrong, but I'm sure I've read somewhere that that's a young Leah Thompson. But I could be wrong. I don't know where I read it, but I got that impression. Remember from Back to the Future, which would be just another 4 years away, so it might not be her, but I'm sure I saw somewhere that that's Leah Thompson. But I'm probably wrong. Anyway, so he shoots her, and they cut to commercial, and it just happens to be... Hang on. And he says, Kevin McCarthy says, cut to commercial. So they do, hits the button, and it's a dog food commercial. Just as luck would have it, it's a dog food commercial. So they're all at the bar, all drunk, and this fella here says, it's amazing what they can do with special effects these days. And he says, it was real. She turned into a werewolf and they shot her. And he says, you're plastered. And he says, it doesn't mean it wasn't real. And then he says he wants a burger and he wants a pepper steak or something and a cheeseburger for the lady. And says, how do you want it? And he turns, he says, how do you want that, honey? Are you ready? Hang on, we're getting there. And there he goes, how do you want that, honey? And she goes, looks straight into camera, breaks the fourth wall. Rare. And then the film ends. Film ends with a pretty crappy looking burger being made over the credits. But some cool music by is it Pino Donaggio? I'm probably getting that wrong as well. Hang on, let's have a look. I'm sure it's something like that. Music, yeah, Pino Donaggio. All right, yeah. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. But yeah, it's a cool score, by the way. But that's how it ends. We've seen this burger being cooked, and the very last scene is of we see Maria Ospenskaya again. I'll not be able to get to it. It's coming in a minute. Look, we're getting to the end. Where she says, "Now go," to Lon Chaney Jr. You ready? Yeah.
Go now. And heaven help you.
And that's the end of the film. That's how it ends. That's an amazing film. One of my favourites. Where is it? Let's get rid of it. There we go. I can close that now. Yes, that was The Howling, the original from 1981. An amazing film. Great effects. Directed by Joe Dante. Makeup effects by Rob Bottin. A 21, I think it was 21. 20 or 21-year-old Rob Bottin. Did amazing work. Better than American Werewolf in London, I think. The effects, as films, it's about on an even keel, but it just edges it for me because I like Rob Bottin's effects better than Rick Baker's in American Werewolf in London. Rick Baker's werewolf, it looks a bit clean, a bit rubbery and a bit plasticky, whereas Rob Bottin's, he likes his goo and it's all slimy and stuff. But yeah, it's a really, really, really good film, and I really enjoy it. And I hope you enjoyed going through it with me, because we're going to leave it there now, because that's it. Because I've got to go and see what's making noises behind me and scaring me. So, hang on. So, until next time, don't have nightmares, look after each other, and I'll see thee.